Welcome back, YouTube. I am Evil Squeegee. This is DMPC, the show where I am both the DM and the PC. We are watching live. We are recording live in front of a studio chat on twitch.tv/Evil Squeegee every Friday and Saturday at 2 p.m. EST if you wanted to catch up there. If not, then we upload almost every day to YouTube, where you are currently watching this. And don't forget to like, subscribe, all that nonsense. Let's get down to it. When we last left our intrepid hero, you know, I keep having to look this up, but I'm pretty certain that my hero is not intrepid. Let's find out. Intrepid definition. Go Google. Fearless. Oh God, no, I am not an intrepid hero. I am, in fact, my vice is cowardly. When we had left off, our main character had just been attacked by the monster and had bolted, leaving his father behind to fight it off. Had just bolted and left dear daddy to die because he was spooked from his previous encounter with the monster, and has cowardly as a vice, and so it was not a good look. So let's get right into this here. I want to find out what happens next. Okay, right before we get into the action here, let's do a little bit of bookkeeping. Starting with, we have a beat for the session and a beat for resolving our condition, which means that we have racked up 5 beats, which means that we have no beats left, but we have an experience point. And we've done beats, we've done XP. Our next scene involves Raymond running from the monster as best as he can. Our chaos is rank 2 now. The chaos is going to tick up to 2 because the scene was out of our player character's control. And let's roll that scene test. Let's roll the scene test. 3, the expected scene. So our character is running for his life from the monster, which I suppose means that I should probably run athletics with a specialty in running. Dexterity 2, athletics 3, running 4 is 6 dice. I have disadvantage from Tice, so I'm rolling twice and taking the lesser of 2 rolls. 1 success versus 1 success. So the answer is I haul ass out of this building and start running for help. But is anybody nearby? Is there anyone nearby? We are at Chaos rank 2. I'm going to call it 50-50. 5. Is that an extreme yes? No, it is not an extreme yes, but it is a yes. So I'm going to say that it's somebody that we know because we have leverage written down for Casey's help, which means that Casey's help is important to the story. So I'm going to say that Casey is just pulling into a parking lot. It's like, I'm running. Oh God, Casey. And Casey climbs up out of their car and says, what's wrong? Casey, get your gun. The monster is back. I think it got my dad. So Casey pulls their gun out of their car and we march back towards the monster. Is Raymond's dad still there when they get back? And is the monster still there? No. Neither Raymond's dad nor the monster are present when they come back. And Raymond will point out it burst into the window, and Dad bursted through the window in my dorm room, and Dad came and tackled it and told me to run, and I ran. You just left your dad there to die? I don't know. I panicked, man. It's okay. This is all right. Calm down. The monster's not here right now. Let's figure this out. And so they return to my dorm room and start inspecting stuff to find out if there's anything we can learn. Let's roll. This is our last disadvantage from Tice. Intelligence plus investigation. Investigation is 2, intelligence is 2, so that's 4d10. That's 1 success. Or let's check that exploding 10. 1 success. So we get a success. This is a perfect time for a discovery check. Discovery checks are part of the horror setting rules. Discovery check is a fate question that you ask, does my character discover something? But in order to discover something, they have to have faced a risk of some kind, such as failing a roll. And so as we are digging around the room, do we discover something? I think it is almost certain that we discover something that reveals information about the monster. I think it is certain. We are at chaos rank 2. 17 is not an extreme yes, but it is a yes. And for a yes result, we roll in the horror elements table. Well, we just had a shiver, so our progress points go up. Is roll 2d10, roll 1d10 plus the progress points of 7. So we're rolling 1d10 plus 7. 11. Track plus 1. So the progress points go up. We discover, we don't discover any leverage, we don't discover any protection, but we discover that this monster bleeds and leaves oily tracks in its wake. And that's important because if we can track it, we can find it. And Casey is a hunter, so Casey has points in tracking. It stands to reason, at least. Casey is a PI and a hunter. So we're going to close that scene, and we are going to say that things are still out of the player character's control. We didn't close the distance to the monster. We don't know what happened to Dad. We don't know what happened to the monster. So the chaos rank is going to bump from 2 to 3. Chaos is climbing. The expected scene is that Casey is going to track the monster down. Our scene test is the next thing. 3, it is an altered scene. What is the scene alteration? 4, increase in activity. This tracking is going to take some time, I think. And it's going to take us into the woods out behind the college, the dorm rooms. So let's roll. First off, how successful are we in tracking? Let's roll. You're a PI. You probably have 2 points in investigation, 3 points in investigation, and 3 points in intelligence. 6 dice. No successes, so we lose the track behind the college dorm rooms. Do we find anything where rewinding. So Casey and Raymond are tracking this monster by means of their father's blood, Raymond's dad's blood, Ben's blood, and the oily tracks that this monster leaves in its wake. Raymond is going to do a smart thing here and is going to grab the radio. And the radio is whenever the monster is around. It's doing that weird noise thing. And so they are going to track this monster all the way into the woods behind the dorm rooms. And so they're kind of is it nighttime? Or rather, is it daytime? Because daytime will make it easier to track. 50-50. 87. No, it is nighttime. So they're out in the woods in the middle of the night with a monster. This is totally a smart move, guys. We are totally not gonna die. You know what? I'm gonna say that radio thing counts as leverage. Because we can track this thing with the radio. But we lose the track. We lose the trail. And we are alone in the woods. Okay, so what I want to know next, did we lose the track because the monster covered its tracks? Let's find out. Did we lose the track because the monster covered its tracks? If not, have we walked into a trap? The monster chaos factor is 3. I'm going to call it unlikely. That is a 12. That is under the 15. So the monster has started to cover its tracks. We are currently in the woods. The radio has gone silent. The trail has gone dead. That's going to be the end of that scene. The chaos rank will go from 3 to 4. Our threads list will discover whether radio is freaking out. We've completed that. What is chaos rank? So whenever the scene ends during the bookkeeping phase of Mythic, you adjust the chaos rank. If the characters were in control and things were going their way, the chaos rank goes down by 1 point to a minimum of 1. If things were out of control and things were not going the character's way, the chaos rank goes up by 1 to a maximum of 9. The more chaos rank you have, the more likely Mythic is to insert random events, to interrupt scenes, and to alter scenes that you expect you're going to be having. So the more Mythic steps in. And that's what, and since so many bears attack, the chaos went up. Exactly. A higher chaos rank also influences the rate at which you get yeses to questions and increases the rate at which you get extreme yeses to questions, while lowering the rate you get no's and extreme no's as well. Chaos rank is one of the core mechanics of the Mythic system. I hope that explains and answers your question. So we've adjusted the chaos rank to 4 from 3. Things are starting to ramp up. We don't have... Okay, we need to find out what happened to Dad as a new thread. Do we have any new characters? No, we do not have any new characters. Okay, so we've updated our threads. We are 10 points through our horror track. We have the radio noise phenomenon and Casey's help as leverage to overcome the monster, and we had the empty dorm room as a hideout from the monster for protection. So our expected scene is the characters are going to have a random event happen. So there's a special rule in Mythic called Scenus Interruptus, and when you don't know what to do and it's time for the GM to step in and make something happen, you force that to happen by forcing an interrupt scene. Because right now the characters are lost. Well, maybe not lost, but the characters are they lost? Let's check real quick before the scene starts. Survival. Oh, I have no points in survival. Intelligence 2, survival 0 with a -1 untrained penalty for being a physical skill. A 1. That was not a chance die, so that is not a dramatic failure, that is a failure. So we are lost in the woods in the middle of the night. The monster has covered up its tracks. We have no idea what we're doing. We are absolutely screwed. It is time for a Scenus Interruptus. So it is a forced interrupt scene. An interrupt scene means that you take the dramatic fail for a beat. Ooh, I could and be really lost. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. Thank you for the suggestion, Falco. Okay, so we roll to find out on the horror event focus table what the random event is. An 86. Close a thread. What thread do we close? Let's check the list. How do we close a thread in the middle of the woods? Let's find out. Let's roll 1d10 to find out which thread we're closing. 10. I get to choose. We're going to find out what happened to Dad. That's the one that we're going to choose. Is Raymond holding his phone? Dad could call. Ooh, that's a good question. Does Dad call on the phone? Chaos rank 4, call it 50-50. Dad, extreme, yes, Dad calls on the phone, and that closes the thread that we find out what happens to Dad. Thank you for the suggestion, Chance. So what did happen to Dad? Let's consult these. Let's consult extreme, yes, Dad possesses the phone. What happened to Dad? A 38, drop, 64, opposition. So Dad will call on the phone and be like, "Oh my God, Raymond, are you okay? Did you get out?" And Raymond will be like, "Did I get out? Why are you talking to me on the phone? What happened to you?" And Ben will explain that as the monster carried him off, it found him too heavy and just dropped him when he realized, like, maybe the monster realized that the trail of blood was giving away his location. Maybe the monster just, for whatever reason, the monster seemed to have lost interest in carrying him and just dropped him, like, right in the middle of the woods. And now they have to find each other. So that will close that scene. The characters are very, very lost. I'm going to call that not going their way. Yes, we got a phone call from Dad. Yes, Dad is alive, but Dad is somewhere in the woods. We are somewhere in the woods. So I'm going to call that from Chaos Rank 4 to Chaos Rank 5. We're going to update our list to include reunite with Dad. We don't have any new characters to add yet. It's still just Casey and Raymond in the middle of the woods in the middle of the night with a radio. And so this scene is going to consist of Raymond and Casey hunting for their father in the middle of the woods, hunting for Raymond's dad, hunting for Ben in the middle of the woods. And they have to escape the woods themselves. And there is a monster out here. So, let's test the scene. If you're just tuning in, a scene test is when you roll 1d10 versus the chaos factor. Our chaos factor is currently 5. I rolled over the chaos factor, so our expected scene happens. If you roll chaos factor or lower, you either get an altered scene or an interrupt scene based on odds or evens. An altered scene is the expected scene with a tweak, and an interrupt scene is something that happens before the expected scene happens at all. But this is the expected scene, so we are moving forward into another survival check. Can we find our way to Dad? I guess we have Dad on the phone, right? So we don't have any flares. I guess we just have shouting. Can we hear Dad shouting for us? Cast rank 5, 50-50. 24. Yes, we can. Dad is nearby. And so it won't take a roll. We will just reunite with Dad that way. So Ben reunites with Casey and Raymond. And now we have to escape the forest. And that's going to be a roll. So I am going to say I still have no points of survival. It's still 1d10. I'm going to spend that point of willpower and bump that dice to 4. You can spend a point of willpower in Chronicles of Darkness to add 3 dice to your roll. So we're going to roll 4d10 to try and navigate our way out of the woods. We get a success! Hooray! And so we will navigate back. Well, actually, you know what? It was a dramatic failure. It wasn't just a failure. It was a dramatic failure. I took the beat for that. And so it's going to take us a total of 3 successes with a chance for something to go wrong as we progress through the woods here. Especially since, that's going to take 3 willpower to keep rolling 4 dice. Oh no, what have I done to myself? Well, I guess Casey is plowing ahead and leading the way and trying to recognize, can Casey assist? Let's pause here and check teamwork. I need to know the rules for teamwork. So we're going to say that Casey is a hunter. Casey has at least a dot of survival. He's like a hobbyist hunter, so he has 1. He has 3 intelligence. We've ruled, I think. Yeah, 3 intelligence. So Casey is going to roll 4 dice. And not be any helpful. Ben is going to roll his 1 die and not be of any help. So we are spending another willpower here. We need to get 3 total successes. We have 1 total success so far. Oh, there's our extra successes. That D10 explodes. It does not explode on anything useful, though. Yay, teamwork. ... So that takes us a while, and I need to know Does the monster strike, or are there too many people? I think last time we had three characters all gathered in one place. We had the last time we gathered in one place, the monster hung back. It's only attacked when there were two characters or one character. Does the monster try and lure someone away? Good question. Let's ask that. 22, yes, and a random event. When you roll doubles on a fate chart question like that, it inserts a random event if that double number, like in our case 2, because we rolled a 22, if that double number is the chaos rank or lower. And so 2 is underneath our chaos rank of 5, so we get a random event. Let's find out what the random event is on the horror event focus table. A 12 is a shiver, which means that we're going to mark 2 more progress. And I can bold up the shiver here. That brings our horror track to 12. So I imagine it's trying to lure someone away, and this is absolutely the part where we find out that the monster can mimic sounds. And so it mimics the sound of somebody crying out for help off in the distance. It tries to separate somebody from the pack, and it's going to be Ben. So so Ben hears it first. So the question is, how does it lure Ben away? And the answer is, it uses the voice of Ben's lost wife. How the monster knows what that is, I do not know. Maybe it has some kind of mind reading ability. But we were going to find out. Oh yeah, it was a shiver was the event. And so the voice of my missing mother and my father's missing wife calls out, and we call back. And there's no response. And so Ben says, wait here. And you know what? I'm going to stick here with Casey. I'm a coward. My dad is the brave one. And so Dad will turn and kind of walk off into the woods. And Casey will stop and look at me and ready his gun. I don't like this. I don't like this either, but like... I mean, that might have been my mom. Don't you think we should go with him? He's hid away here. Okay, your call. And I'm going to say, does the monster attack us or attack Ben? Does the monster attack us 50-50? If it doesn't attack us, it's attacking Ben. 37, the monster attacks us while Ben is off alone. This monster is obsessed with me. We met this monster in the woods, way out away from the college campus, and now we've come to this monster here in it followed me to my dorm room. There is something about me specifically that this monster wants, not Ben, because it had its chance at Ben and it just dropped Ben. Now it's coming for me. And so it is... What is my defense? I suppose I don't get my defense because I am being surprised, which means this monster has 6 dice. Oh, that's not a good roll. This is not the time for this to be happening. 1, 2, 3 successes, plus the claws, which I think claws are... Well, this is our very first monster of the campaign, so I'm going to call it +1. I need to reread the rules for horrors. Their 2nd edition had added a bunch. So that's 1, 2, 3, plus an automatic 4, plus an automatic 1 for a total of 4 damage. This is going to be lethal damage. And then comes initiative. We've entered combat with the monster. I get a total of... Let's do this right. Casey and I will both get +5, so I get 11. Casey gets a 12. And the monster gets a 13. So it's the monster, then Casey, then me. This is not going well. So the monster is going to make its 6d10 attack against my defense of 5, so it gets 1d10. It gets no successes. Casey is going to try and shoot the damn thing. Casey's a hunter and a PI. We'll give him 6 for shooting. He is shooting in melee range, so the monster's defense of 3 applies. That 10 might explode. Explodes into a 4. So it's 1. A rifle does 4 damage. So he shoots this thing for 5. Another loud crack, crack-boom as the gun. I'm trying to work on my sound effects. How am I doing? Another crack-boom goes off as the gunshot plugs into this monster and oil splatters everywhere, and the monster retreats. and Ben will come running back as the monster bolts out, and I'm bleeding. Let's say the monster jumped at me and caught me by the arm and just like ripped like my shoulder open. So I'm kind of like leaning to the side here, bleeding, and Ben shows up and freaks out, and Casey's got the gun. I think I scared it off. And at this point, I think we have acquired Ben's help as well, which is +2. Bringing us to a total of 14, leaving us near the dorm rooms because I had successfully managed to navigate. I had successfully managed to navigate my way to the dorms because we were lost in the woods because of my dramatic failure. There's Ben, the ex-fireman, Casey, the PI with a hobby in hunting, and me, a wannabe track runner college student who has no useful skills whatsoever. It is the middle of the night. This monster has just bolted off into the woods, and Casey thinks that he can track it. That is more leverage. That is another 2 points of leverage, bringing us to 16 total. And I think as we retreat to the dorm room, we have a decision to make. Do we pursue the monster, or do we retreat to the dorm rooms and wait for daylight? And I have no idea what I'm going to choose, so we're going to say that is where we call this episode here. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're watching on YouTube, stick around. There will be another episode right after this one. If you're watching on twitch.tv/evilsqueegee, stick around. Don't forget to hit the like button, the subscribe button, the follow button, all the buttons. All the buttons do all the things. Yay, the things! We'll be right back after these messages. Do not touch that dial.